What is going on? Welcome back to Jiu-Jitsu Outlet. My name is Paul Tokizolu. Today I wanted to take a quick moment and record a solo episode answering a question that a lot of people have been having, which is how do the psychedelics play a part in the martial arts? Do they play a part at all? Do martial artists use psychedelic medicines like magical mushrooms or different substances like that? These substances are getting a lot of press attention. There's a lot of Netflix documentaries coming out about this stuff. Johns Hopkins is doing this big research study into mushrooms and how they help with depression. And people have asked me if I have experience with any of this stuff, or what my opinion is, or if I have any knowledge about if martial artists are using these substances. And the answer to all those questions is yes. Yes, I have knowledge of it myself. Yes, I've talked to a lot of people in the martial arts community who use psychedelic substances, and I believe that actually it's kind of like one of the big secrets in the martial arts community. I would say it's like one of those not so secret secrets that psychedelic medicines are actually a big performance enhancer that are used by a lot of athletes in Jiu-Jitsu, in MMA, in wrestling, and really in sports in general is what I'm finding. And it's not something that is necessarily openly discussed with people who are just getting started out. And there's no one who's ever pressured anyone to take any sort of substances that I've experienced. But the fact of the matter is a lot of athletes use psychedelic medicines to get a mental performance edge. And it helps substantially. I'm not gonna obviously name any names, but I know folks who use psychedelic medicines a lot during their camps to train for high performance, whether it's a fight or a big jiu-jitsu tournament or a big jiu-jitsu match. There's folks who use microdosing both leading up to the match and also during the matches themselves. So there's folks who will take a small amount of a psychedelic substance the morning of competition to help them get in the zone mentally to be able to perform. So if you know anything about sports science, you know that the mental side is a big part of it. So athletes are finding that psychedelic substances like mushrooms, LSD, or different substances like this have a really big impact on their mental health and their mental ability to perform during their competition. Whether it's an MMA fight, a jiu-jitsu match, big wrestling match, or whatever it may be. And I don't really have as much experience with other sports, but I've heard through the grapevine from people who do that it's the same thing over there, that at the high levels of athletics, this is what people are using these substances for, is to get a mental edge over their competition. And they use it because it helps them get in the zone and believe everything they need to believe about themselves to be able to win the fight or to be able to win the tournament or whatever it is. And for me, I've had a lot of experiences over the years with these substances, and it actually helped me realize that I'm on the autism spectrum. And that was a big part of my journey, was kind of realizing that I'm autistic. And this is something that I ended up getting help from through a therapist who really helped me understand myself. But all of those realizations and all of those kind of epiphanies that I had about myself came through using psychedelic substances. And now it's not something that I would recommend to someone for sure, but I can only speak from my own experience of what has helped me and my experience of talking to other people and hearing how it has helped them. And it sounds like I'm not alone, that there's a lot of benefit to be had from these different substances. And I was actually just talking with someone who's a pretty well-known person in the community, and they were talking about how they used ibogaine to get off of a serious addiction that they were dealing with. So there's all sorts of uses that these substances have beyond just winning a tournament. And this is what a lot of martial artists are finding out, because a lot of us are really into personal development. And for people like me, that's really the reason we do this. And that's really what Jiu-Jitsu Outlet, this show, is all about, is about how martial arts helps your life off the mats. And if you read books like Jigoro Kano's Mind Over Muscle, you find that the people who started the martial arts, that's actually what they prioritized as well. This started the modern martial arts. Like Jigoro Kano started judo, for instance. His main prerogative with judo was that it was a really good system of personal development. And I really believe that that's really why a lot of us train, because we like it from a personal development angle. And using psychedelic medicines like psilocybin mushrooms or something like that, people do it usually for the same benefits, especially people like us. We don't do it to party. We don't do it just to like get a certain feeling. We get it to go within and solve some sort of personal problem that you might be having. Or in the case of a high-level athlete, they might use it as a performance enhancer for their mind in the same way that someone might take testosterone to help their body. And it's up for debate whether or not these medicines actually do help. And it's up for debate whether or not taking testosterone, for example, helps, or whether that's good for your health. And that's all up for debate, in my opinion. But the fact of the matter is that athletes use it. These athletes do win, and they credit the mushrooms or the LSD or whatever it was. They credit that psychedelic substance as a big part of their success. So if you talk to them and you know them in person, you find out that this is one of their big secrets. It's definitely not like the only secret for sure, but it's something that they rely upon, if that makes sense. It's something that they go back to. Like this is their way of getting in the zone for their camp, is they're going to microdose every day or something like that. And this same athlete might also be cutting out other things of their life. So I always thought that was really interesting, how a lot of these athletes who are going through a big weight cut, like maybe prepping for some big jiu-jitsu tournament like the ADCC trials, they might be doing a crazy weight cut, not eating like how they're usually doing, and stuff like that. But then they're taking mushrooms every day to help them get in the zone mentally. So it's like they're taking away some food that they might usually be eating, and then they're adding in this magical plant or magical fungus, basically. And I can't help but be reminded of ancient initiatory practices like those used by the Native Americans who used to live here in the Ozarks, where I'm currently standing. They use these sorts of medicines like peyote, for instance, to experience a sort of vision quest that their warriors would take before entering into adulthood. So I feel like the same sort of thing is now happening in the martial arts. I feel like these sorts of experiences like the ADCC trials or doing an MMA fight, or these sorts of experiences that people can have now, they provide that sort of initiatory experience, especially for young men. And I find it very interesting that the psychedelic medicines have kind of made their way back into that almost ceremonial practice of getting ready for this fight or this match that you're going to have, or this big, this battle that you're going to have, basically. And this is a practice that goes back thousands of years, actually. This use of these plants or these substances, especially the mushroom, especially peyote. A lot of these substances have been used for thousands of years by warrior cultures to prepare their warriors for battle and to get them into that spiritual and mental state that they need to be in to win. So this is nothing new, and it's something that I don't think is going to stop. I think if anything is going to progress, I think we're going to see medicines like psilocybin becoming legal, because it's being found to have such an amazing impact on depression and anxiety, and a lot of the things that I've experienced and friends of mine have experienced. A lot of these things are now being validated by science, so that's really cool to see. Well, I'm gonna go. I've got to teach jiu-jitsu now. I actually got an academy here on this property here in the woods. So if you want to come check us out, look up Jiu-Jitsu Outlet in Houston, Missouri. And yeah, it was great to get these questions. I had a lot of people reach out. So let me know if you want to hear more about this right below, if you're interested in learning more about this topic. And I'll try to do more episodes around this. So talk to you soon. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.